Hello, Mr. Wilhelm. How are you?
Very well. Delighted to be here. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm fine.
I'm so happy that you agreed to speak to me. You have in your videos, you have over 90 YouTube videos where you very beautifully have explained and illustrated the dynamics of the universal laws. So let me ask you the universal question. What happens after death?
What I do, and before you start the question, is in my videos, I do not use usually like we do now our dialogue. What I do, I illustrate things. For instance, if I tell you how does karma work, and I tell you it's sort of stored in our genes, in our soul, and then in the person we harm, and the Akashic records, and in the planets, and it comes back to us, that is very abstract for most people.
Right.
But if I show it, like for instance here, and I show this is the one person here, this is we, and if we do something bad, it's stored in our body, in our soul, in the person we are harming, in the Akashic records that surrounds our Earth, and then in the repository planets, where it's stored until the constellations allow it that the same karma is loaded back to us as karma. So when you see that visually, everything becomes more clear and more easier to understand. So I will try my best here to explain it verbally here, but anybody who wishes to go deeper into it is welcome to go to my videos under liveexplained.com or under Hans Wilhelm on YouTube. And there you will see in great details visually how it all the dots connect. Let's put that right now, Netflix here in America has a wonderful, an interesting series. It's one of the most popular series. It's called Surviving Death, where they really research all the different things about mediumship and so on. Let's put it that way, like anything in life, if you don't wish to believe it, it's not existing. Like, for instance, right here in America, we have a lot of people who believe the earth is flat, although there is a lot of scientific proof that this is not the case. But there is nothing to prove to them that the earth is not flat. And the same when we have got all the evidence, whether near-death experiences, past life regressions, or mediumship, whatever it is, it will not satisfy a person who simply does not want to believe it. So I do not try to convince anybody. If you will want to believe it, it's fine. If not, it's also okay. You see, it's not really that important to believe life after death. I tell you why. I've got wonderful friends who are absolute 110% atheists, but they live a very, very highly spiritual life. They are vegetarian. They are very careful what they consume and how they interact with other people. So to be loving, to be kind, and to be really compassionate does not necessarily require belief in God, belief in life after death, and so on. It is really up to us. However, if we understand that we are eternal beings, which means we cannot die, our soul cannot die, and there is life after death, as there was life before death, a lot of things here on earth become easier for us to understand, and we see it in a different perspective. If we see that our little existence here on earth is only an average of 25,000 days, then we suddenly say, oh wow, that is really rather short compared to eternity. Right. It's like going to the movies for 2 hours and so on, being totally absorbed and emotionally in the movie and then coming out again. So in these 2 hours, we were not really at home in our usual life. And we do the same thing here, because Earth, in my view and understanding, is nothing else than a school for souls to grow and to undo our karma for most of us. So I believe it helps very much to know that life continues on the other side, and particularly when it hits us with a death of someone else. We ourselves may transition easily or very quickly and so on. But if somebody else very close to us dies in our family, then that is a very painful experience. And if we then believe that this person is truly gone forever, that makes this departure even more so serious and painful.
But if I were to imagine, or anyone was to imagine, soul leaving the body. The soul is leaving the body. I mean, what would they be seeing? What is it that what does the soul look like,
Let's put it that way. We only have a physical body. It's like a diving suit to be here in this very dense atmosphere of the earth. We need a physical body to protect ourselves, but we ourselves are a soul. We don't just have a soul, we are a soul. And as a soul, we once, long time ago, we have been a perfect spiritual being, which through soul burdening have become a soul, and who is now incarnated in a physical body. And when our time comes here to an end, then we leave this physical body behind, which means the silver cord is cut. The soul is connected to our physical body with a silver cord, an information band, which is always in existence, particularly when our soul leaves the body during the dream state, when we are asleep. But it's always connected to the body. And in the moment of death, this cord is cut, and then the soul is totally separate from the physical body. And that can be sometimes very traumatic for a soul, particularly a soul that has not been preparing himself or herself for the eventuality of death, and also of the possibility of surviving death. Right. I mean, a lot of people like my father, he strongly believed that after death, everything is over, his consciousness no longer exists. Well, he was in for a surprise, as he told me 5 years later through a medium. But many people who do not believe life exists after death will be really shocked, because suddenly they see themselves without the physical body. Right. And some souls cling to the physical body intensely, even though it's separated and so on. They cannot let go. Others cling themselves intensely to the family members, to the home, to the job that is their identification, or to their possessions. We call these souls earthbound souls. And this is really a very serious situation, because even though we are received by divine being, we call them angels, relatives, or whatever it is, to bring us over into to the next sphere, they will reject them. They will not accept them, and they rather go to that what they know, which is their earthly life, which they left behind. There's a wonderful movie, an old movie, but a good one, called The Sixth Sense. And anybody who wants to see it, it's a fabulous movie which illustrates that perfectly. Right. So, but many souls know that life exists, and when they're on the other side, they do see usually the spirit guides. Life, their dying is very much like giving birth. When we got born, we are rarely there alone just with our mother. It's usually some helper, a midnight, a doctor, nurses, and so on. There were always people who welcome the little baby into the physical world. Right. And the same when we leave it, there's always somebody who welcomes them on the other side. Now, some souls have got a major problem of being either guilt-ridden, like, for instance, a soul that commits suicide and feels bad about himself and doesn't feel worthy being welcomed by these high shining beings, and they hide from them. And it takes time to gain for them the confidence to be led away. So that everybody dies differently. There is no one way for everyone. Right. We all die according to what we believe, and also according to our beliefs and to our programs. That means we all are basically vibrational beings. Life is nothing else than consciousness, and consciousness is energy and vibration. And you and I are basically nothing else when it boils down to vibrations and energy. And when the soul, it's also nothing else than energy and vibration. The vibrations are based on our programs, on what our addictions, what we like, not our beliefs here on earth, and so on. Over time, that develops of who we are. We call it our character and our programs. And they become real strong vibrations. Mm-hmm. And these vibrations then are so strong, they will help us to be attracted to the sphere in the spiritual world of similar vibration. Right. Which means, for instance, if I believe that I am, let's say, communist and so on, I believe the communist belief, very strong, and this is our predominant belief, then we are drawn to a communist. Or if I am a murderer, and this murder vibration is in us, we get drawn to the realm of murderers. So we are drawn to people of like ourselves. And if we have got a very spiritual belief, a very strong spirit, like I believe very strongly to be a Hindu or Muslim or whatever it is, and that is our main identity in this life, then we will be drawn exactly to the same religious group of souls.
You said that souls like us come to receive us when we go, are we also at that time attracted, or do we also only go with souls who are like us? Say, for example, if I'm a very spiritual person, I'd be attracted and go along with souls that are spiritual. And if I'm a very greedy person, I'd probably go with, a thief.
The souls who receive you are not necessarily the souls you will stay with when you are settling down in the spiritual world. The souls who receive you are mostly your guardian spirit or relatives who have died before, who welcome you, who make it easier for you. So they are not necessarily in the same realm of which you will eventually be. So the initial encounter with the spirits we meet on the other side are not necessarily the ones we will hang out for a long time. So that can be a difference. We will then eventually slowly we've adjusted. Sometimes the soul is so sick and so exhausted. Usually our body is fine, but sometimes the illness or whatever it is or traumatic accident that they need to stay in something which we may call a home, like a hospital for a little while for the soul to regain strength again. And then slowly they will be guided to where the soul needs to be. So yes, we will be attracted to these souls. And also, of course, when we incarnate, our vibration will determine where we incarnate. So particularly with the mother as well as the incoming soul must have very similar vibrations to be attracted to each other. So that's where the circle closes again. So in other words, whatever our belief system is sometimes we can circulate in that belief system, like being Hindu, over and over and over and over in time, until we finally maybe question certain aspects of our religion. Religion and spirituality is not the same.
Not at
So
all.
maybe it says, there is something, maybe I question this, and then we maybe take the next step to free ourselves of all religious teachings. And I'm not saying they are bad or they are negative. I'm just saying they can be stifling because they are usually based on rituals, traditions, dogmas, and so on. And all of this is opposite to what our soul is. Our soul is freedom. And so we have to become free again of all these things. They can be helpful tools, but eventually we have to let go of them.
So then these zones that you talk, these planes that encircle the Earths, our Earths, these dimensions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever the levels are. What are these?